Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to Daily Refinement. In today's video, we're going to figure out if you can actually do this as a reseller. It's 2022. We're about to go into a ridiculous recession. I live in the Bay Area. There's like an insane amount of layoffs here. I think that what's happened is everyone's Q3 and Q4 predictions were way too low. So people missed all the projections. So everything is crashing. Cryptocurrency stocks, housing costs are going down. So right now, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a good time to be a reseller because there's a lot of cheap goods. But you need to figure out how to sell them for a profit. And there's essentially two things that are going to prevent you from growing your company faster. One is your bills, because any money that you spend on your personal bills comes out of growing your business. And the other one is if you have any debt. So I just posted on my channel. I want to know how much debt people have and how much they need each month. So let me know in the comment section below if you are in one of those buckets, and maybe Christine can read those to me. But like, what are your monthly bills? So far, what I'm seeing on the survey is that people's bills are under $3,000 per month, and their credit card bills are between their debt is between $10,000 and $20,000 on average. So let me know if that sounds about right. If you are in there, if you have more debt, if you have lower income, lower bills, I'm curious because it really affects the advice that I give you. Because I've been doing these experiments where I start from zero and reinvest everything. But people keep saying, that's not me. I can't reinvest everything. I need to live on it. Which makes me wonder, like, how are you living now? Or are you going more into debt right now because you're not solvent, like you're not making enough to pay your bills? So the people who generally succeed at reselling already have a full-time job. So they have a job, they just reinvest it and it snowballs. And that's the way that we recommend. But I don't think there's that many people that can follow that. From my basic survey, it looks like 70% of people have debt and also are not making enough to pay their bills. So what that would mean is their debt grows every month. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know where you're at. And I'm going to try to get an idea of how to base my advice. But I think I have a new calculator for my next experiment. I think I'm going to start with $3,000 a month in bills and $10,000 a month, or $10,000 in credit card bills, which is around a $300 monthly payment towards the debt. That's just the interest on the $10,000. So let me know if this is where you guys are at.
Seems like people are saying all different things. Some people have no debt.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people have little debt.
So 20% of people have no debt. Let me know in the comment section below if you're one of those people. So the average debt for a U.S. household is $20,000, but there's 20% of people who have no credit card bills, and for those people, or the people who have credit card debt, it's like 90,000, or consumer debt. This is not including mortgage, so we're not including mortgage. The average mortgage debt is 200,000. So you would add those two numbers together, like mortgage and then also your consumer debt, which, looking at the statistics, it looks like people have personal loans, credit cards, they have a mortgage, and a lot of people are using a home equity line of credit on top of that, which is a second mortgage. But I think I have a new calculator. If you do what we recommend in the group, which is start from zero, you never use outside money, so sell stuff around the house, use that money to buy something, flip that, wait for that to sell, use that money to buy more things and keep going. It takes about 2 years to save $100,000 starting from zero. I did the math on that. That would be growing until you are at 50 items per day. And then once you're at 50 items per day, the last 5 months, so months 19 through 24, you don't grow anymore. So you get to 50 items a day, you stay at 50 items a day, 5 months later, you save 100,000. And that is where I want to go for this next challenge. I want to start, I think, $10,000 in debt, $3,000 a month in bills. I want to start there and end. It's going to take like 3 years to get from negative all the way to $100,000, which is enough for most people to put a down payment down on a home. If your house is 400 to 500,000, then 100,000 would be the down payment for that, which is what a lot of people are looking for, like buy a rental property or to buy their first home or their second home. So let me know, like, why are you reselling? Is it just to pay the bills? Do you want to make extra, retire early? Give me some ideas here, and if you have any questions.
Michael says, what are good ways to flush out slow-moving items in a store once you're close to running out of space?
Okay, so I would recommend the first 8 months of reselling, you try to sell 100% of your items. So if you're just starting or you're in reseller stage 0, which is losing money, in this situation, you are very cash flow poor. So right now you're asking how to move your lower end items. The easiest way is to discount them, right? So if your items are, the more expensive they are, the less people are able to buy it. So lower the price. Usually it's not promotions. Promotions, there's 9 different eBay promotions to make things sell faster. Usually getting your items to sell faster is not those 9 things. Once you're optimized, those 9 things can help you turbocharge your sales and get even more. But the basics of selling your items is basically down to price, item specifics, title, pictures, price, return policy, shipping speed. That is the main difference for how to sell your items faster.
Yeah, a lot of people saying zero debt.
Zero
That
debt.
they don't have any debt.
That's great.
We have some people saying that they are wanting to make extra income to invest.
Yep.
Reselling to get a break from their work, just like as a different type of mentality.
Yep.
Odd Human says, I get that you have to list items to sell them, but they also have to sell.
Yeah, you don't have to list items. It's not about listing, it's how many items you sell. So of course you need to list one to sell one, but listing 100 doesn't guarantee you're going to sell one. I think a lot of people miss that. So in the beginning, the first 8 months of the experiment, you have to sell every item. So before you get to the point where we talk about 1% sell-through rate and building a store, you need to learn how to sell to begin with. If you can't sell an item, you can't sell on eBay, unfortunately. You have to learn how to sell at least one item, repeat that process into 2 items, repeat that process into 4 items. If you can't even sell those 4 items, then you have no business listing hundreds or thousands of items. There's lots of people in our group, not in our group, but like that follow my YouTube channel that have 2,000 or 3,000 items in their store and they have 4, 5, 6, 7 sales, and that doesn't work. Like if you have 2,000 items in your store, and you're not getting at least 10, you're definitely losing money. If you calculate the space, your time, you're losing money. If you're not selling at least half, you're probably, the only reason that you're surviving is you're listing death pile. But you already paid for that death pile. So it's not like you didn't pay for it. You're just not paying for it again. So I think, my new experiment, last year I did the Reseller Nirvana where I went from $0 to $1,000 a week income. But I just realized now that's when it starts to get exciting. Once you make $1,001 and your bills are $1,000, you can use that $1 to invest in something else. Tech texted me a really interesting thing this morning, which was he doesn't make more money to have less fun. I don't know if you, some people think that the more money you have, the less fun it is. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know if that's true. The more I do this, the more I think money buys happiness. As weird as that sounds, if you don't have to worry about your bills, you will be more happy. I'm not saying like you have to only think about money all day, but worrying about money sucks. So I don't know how it doesn't, like this, getting to where you can pay your bills is step 1. But that's not when it gets good. It gets good after you can pay your bills, because then you actually, if you want to increase your lifestyle, if you want to invest, it happens after you can pay your bills. So this is interesting, guys. You know what happens the first 6 months? I'm doing the experiment. I'm gonna start with 0 money, $10,000 in debt, and $3,000 a month in bills. What do you think happens the first 7 months? Let me ask you guys a question for once. What happens the first 7 months of I have $3,000 in bills, no income, $10,000 in debt, and I don't know how to resell? What happens the first 7 months?
And you don't know how to resell?
And I don't know how to resell. Don't know how to resell, $3,000 in bills, no job, $10,000 in debt. What happens the first 7 months?
Like, what's the first step?
No, what happens to me?
Just what happens?
Just what happens to me. Because that's a lot of people. A lot of people are in this situation. They have debt, no job, they have bills, they have credit cards, and the minimum payment on $10,000 I think is around $300. Like you have to make a payment towards it. They don't just let you keep racking it up.
Depends though. Some of them are pretty cheap.
But that's true. Some of them are cheaper, but
Odd Human says
That's right. That's right on the money. The first 7 months of this experiment, I go more into debt every month. It's brutal. It doesn't start going the other direction until 8 months. So like, because I'm in that situation where I have no money, I have no debt and no skills, the situation gets worse for 7 more months until I learn how to sell. So a lot of people are in this situation. I count this as reseller stage zero, where you're not even making money yet. So once you are at month 8, this is how crazy it is. It only takes 7 months from month 8 to month 15 where you pay off all that debt. That's pretty crazy. If you just follow the system in the group where you learn how to sell something and then repeat. Oh, these bags right here, we're not hanging. So these ones are just detagging and folding. That's it. Yeah.
You say losing money on interest?
Yeah, you're basically you're paying your $3,000 a month in bills, but you don't have any money. So it's like you're just charging on your credit card your bills and taking out a cash advance for your rent. And you're slowly in the beginning, this is how crazy it is. You're negative $100 a day and you're only making $10 a day. Does that make sense, guys? In the beginning, you still have to pay your bills, but you only sell one item and make $10 profit per item minimum. So you're just negative 90 instead of negative 100. You have to cross over to where you're making more than $100 a day before you can start paying off the debt. And it's actually much more than that because the credit card interest is insane. It's so high. So like trying to pay off the debt, it's also snowballing in interest is very difficult. But this is the reality. I actually, in the 6 years of doing YouTube channels or doing YouTube about this, I've never started in debt before. So since 70% of my channel says that they have debt and they have $3,000 a month in bills, let's start there. Maybe that's the majority of content that you guys are looking for. So let me know in the comments if that makes sense. But the first 7 months of this experiment, guess what my debt goes to? I start at 10,000. 7 months later, what is the debt? Let's have you guys guess. I start at 10, right? I have no income, no skills, don't know what I'm doing. What happens by month 7? I started with $10,000 in debt. Where do I end at? Month 7. What do you guys think? It's a lot. It's actually close to $30,000 negative. So I start at 10, and then it goes essentially 13,000 because $3,000 in bills, right? And then 16,000, there's 3,000, and then 19,000, all the way up to 26,000. And the thing is, by month 7, hopefully you're starting to get a little bit better at reselling. You're not just hanging out for 7 months, you're improving. So by month 7, you're making $200 a day. And that's more than your $100 a day bills. You start to pay off your debt, right? Hopefully that makes sense, guys. The first 6 months, you get to $100 a day profit to pay your $100 a day in bills. Hopefully, I can't. There should be more questions.
Yeah, there are questions.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. What is the best percentage to promote items on eBay?
If you are under 10 sales a day, don't use promoted listings. So if you're asking that question, I think you're already in trouble because it depends. So if you're under 10 sales a day, don't use promoted listings. Use eBay safe mode. No promotions. See how all the questions are on promotions and not how to actually sell an item? So after that, it depends on what your competition is. Very competitive, upwards of 80% for promoted listings I've seen required. If you sell stickers and you want to sell a Joe Biden is awesome sticker, which I don't know who would buy that. But if you are trying to sell that sticker, right? Joe Biden is the best because no one's looking for that. And that's not a political discussion. You might have to promote 80% because someone's like looking for a cat sticker. eBay's like, no, you don't want this cat sticker. You want this Joe Biden sticker because you're paying so much for the promoted listings, right? But let's say you're going for a pro-Trump sticker. A lot of people support Trump and want his stuff. that sticker maybe you only need to promote at 1% because a lot of people are already looking for that. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. If your items are popular, you would want to promote less, and if they're not popular, you'd want to promote more. Like if you put Colin Kaepernick is America's favorite football player, that was your shirt, it probably wouldn't sell unless you do like 90% promoted listings, and it's $1 free shipping, and someone uses it to dry their car. You know what I mean? No one's really wearing that T-shirt, so it depends on how popular it is.
And even having promoted listings doesn't make you.
Yeah, you could be at 100% promoted listings, maybe nobody buys that shirt because they don't want it.
Question from Dark Black. I've noticed eBay sometimes automatically fills in incorrect item specifics for clothing that I notice when I go back to revise my listings. Is there a way to turn off this feature?
No, eBay doesn't do that anymore. They used to predict the item specifics when you typed in the title, but now they don't do that. So you have to manually go in there and change every one. So now moving forward, all the mistakes you have can only blame yourself. On the old listings, the way to turn it off would be just like to use file exchange or use some kind of program where it's only your fields and upload it. But otherwise, you just have to manually eyeball it before you hit list an item. You have to make sure all the item specifics are correct. That's why when you click that button, you are agreeing that you've already looked it over. So like, don't click list an item unless you've already looked through it. They don't change item specifics after you've already launched it. You're essentially not spending enough time looking at it before you launch it.
Someone says actually eBay sometimes still fills in the item specific.
On a new tool.
Yeah.
But they still wouldn't do it after the fact. They would do it before you hit list an item.
Right. Yeah, like if you're going back to revise it,
If you go back to revise it, it won't change. You've got to just make sure before you launch it. eBay's predictive things are good and bad. Sometimes they predict the correct thing, sometimes they don't. It's your responsibility to double check.
Chris Turner says, at what point does velocity make up for less than 100% sell-through? 30 days, 50 a day, 100?
That's a good question. That's Chris?
Chris Turner.
So Chris Turner, what's up? Essentially, if you're going to sell items for half as much profit, you have to make twice as many sales. Hopefully that makes sense. So before you did, like in our example in our group, we recommend you triple your money when you buy something. So that means if you buy something for $5, you don't just sell it to make $5 profit. You try to sell it to get $10 profit, because that allows you to wait a little bit longer. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But if you're making more money per item, you can wait longer. If you're super desperate because you bought something for a lot, like as an example, there are items that I pay 80 for that I sell for 100. I need that gone now. It's so expensive, right? But an item that I paid 1 that I'm asking 80, I can wait a year. I'm trying to get all the money on that item and I'm not spending a lot on it. So it depends.
Devin says, Chris, I've been having no luck finding high sell-through items at the thrift.
Yeah.
Only brands like Banana Republic, Van Heusen, Guess. Should I be picking these items up?
No, you should not be, especially as a beginner. You shouldn't pick up any lower end items unless they're premium. So that sounds obvious, but Banana Republic, only certain Banana Republic items would work. Like a Banana Republic leather jacket, still excellent, right? A Banana Republic utility jacket, still awesome. Banana Republic blouse, not awesome. So you can't just generically say one brand either. So if you're not finding enough items at the thrift, you're in luck, because I'm gonna do more in-depth brand research, but it won't replace you doing the research yourself. You can watch my guides that I'm gonna make shortly on what to look for with different brands, but that's the key. With the example that I'm using right now, you would always have a problem of not finding enough items. That's from Tech and Sports said, if you do it right in our group, you will not be able to find enough items. Doing it wrong would be buying everything. Buying the Van Heusen, which I would rather set it on fire than put it in my store. It's too hard to sell, like especially as a beginner. If you are a gigantic store and you want to dominate the dress shirt category, then maybe you have Van Heusen in the size 17, size 17 and a half, 16 and a half next sizes, or large XL, double XL, because a lot of people are that size. Maybe you can sell them even without the brand, but otherwise it's tough. Also, make sure with dress shirts, the condition's really good. Because at Costco, you can get a dress shirt for 15 bucks new. So just remember, people can go to the store and get a shirt for really cheap these days.
Say Bree says recommended lighting setup for photographing clothes. Do you have a video on this already?
We will. We're making that video tomorrow.
Oh yeah, what to start with.
What
But
to start
we do
with.
have a video on the photo, how to make that photo.
That's true. We do have, if you type in photo in my videos, you'll see we made a custom one at Home Depot. But I'm not changing my advice. I'm updating my advice.
Yeah.
In the, we're gonna be making a new video tomorrow on the supplies you need to get started.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy a photo kit until you are making 10 sales a day. So until you are having 10 sales a day, I wouldn't upgrade anything. I would just use what you have. Use your cell phone if you have it. Once you have 10 sales a day, be my guest. You can buy a camera if you like. You could buy a photo kit if you like. But before you get to 10 sales a day, don't spend any money. Use the existing printer you have. Don't upgrade anything. Get the 10 sales a day first.
Sales have slowed to a trickle this weekend.
Yeah, some people's sales have slowed. I'm seeing that with everything, and I think it's going to get much worse. I think between now and the end of next year, people are not at home as much. Like a lot of companies predicted people would still stay on their phone, but COVID's kind of over. Guys, there's not people are even here in California, there's a lot of people not wearing a mask. Nobody in here is wearing a mask. If you go to the grocery store, most people are out and about now. They're not staying home as much. They're not online as much. You saw Facebook laid off 13% of their employees, which is like 11,000 people. And Facebook is in chart like they have 78,000 people and they laid off 11,000. Twitter laid off half the people. They went from 5,000 employees, they laid off 3,000 people this week. Elon Musk clean shop. So all of these companies, you know what they're doing? They're moving out of stage zero. You see the stages that we're in right now? To move out of stage zero, you cut expenses. So all these companies are doing this right now. We need to do that too. We need to start shedding things that you don't need and really start focusing on what makes money. So if your sales are slowing down, you have to adjust what you sell. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. And then the next 13 months, all I'm going to be talking about is us getting better because it's going to get worse. The economy is going to get worse. Everything is going to drop. I thought my cryptocurrency wasn't going to get worse. It's worse. So like, I'm glad I only invested a couple bucks in there because it was like pretty bad. Like it might even get worse. What if Bitcoin drops to zero? What about all those crypto millionaires now worth nothing? So interesting. See what happens.
Some people are saying that sales are tad slower and lower dollar items are selling quicker.
That makes sense. That people are a broker and buying cheaper stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Victor says, "Hi, Chris. I sell mostly in the collectibles category. Do you have any comic book sellers in the group? Thanks."
No comic book sellers yet. We do have toys, but comic books and sports cards, I guess we could make a different call for that. I think comic books is tough right now because people don't have a lot of disposable income. And also, this shocks me. More Funko Pops are sold on eBay than comic books. I can't believe that. Like, imagine that. How big and how old the comic book industry is, and how young and kind of silly the Funko Pop market is. Because at least you can read a comic book. A Funko Pop, like, just observe it, I guess. So it's interesting looking at the. I guess that's the same for comic books. If you were a true collector, maybe you wouldn't read it. How many people play with their Funko Pop? All Funko Pops, when I see them at people's houses, they're in the box.
Yeah, that's true. And I
I've
feel
never
like it's all
taken.
adults who have, not kids playing.
Yeah, all adult. I don't know. Funko Pops. Guys, do you guys take your Funko Pop out of the box? I've never taken one out of the box. But yeah, comic book category is challenging because it's kind of really small. So my recommendation for the comic book is you need to be listing probably I feel like 50 to 100 a day, and they better be good ones. Like Luckily, comic books don't take up a tremendous amount of space. That's a tough category. I wouldn't recommend comic book selling for the faint of heart. You got to really be into it because it's not that easy.
Sorry, I've had my mic off because it echoes. But here's another question. Lloyd, I don't know how to say that actually. They say, if you were selling in multiple categories in your store, where one has a good conversion rate and in another category low conversion, will pulling the low conversion items help the store overall?
I think so. I think it's less confusing to potential buyers. And if you have 100 items in your store that are one category, and then you have 100 items that are a lower, so you have two categories. Let's say you sell Legos and you sell Care Bears, right? So modern Care Bears probably don't sell as well as modern Lego. If you were to get rid of the Care Bear and use that energy to list more Lego, I think you would do better. See, what a lot of people do is they just get rid of one category and then they don't do the work into the other category. So you can't cut one arm off of your business and not replace it with another piece. So I made the mistake of that. That's why I thought cross-listing made sense, but it's mathematically doesn't make sense because 50% of your effort on one platform and 50% of effort on your other platform is less than 100% on one platform because of the time it takes to manage. Managing two platforms takes twice as long to manage because you have to learn the platform and optimize both because they're not the same. So if you just put that effort, so it's the equivalent of like, I see this all the time. I'm a mom, I'm at home, I have 500 listings, I cross list on eBay, Mercari, and Poshmark, I'm not really getting anywhere. I see that, right? Also see, same stay at home mom, 1,000 items on just eBay, killing it, right? She has twice as many opportunities, and it's less work to sell 1,000 items on eBay than 500 items on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and you're always on your phone. And I just don't like. It's nice to be able to list an item and then not worry about it, and not be sharing all day or on your phone managing it. So those two scenarios I've seen, same lady, same time investment, totally different results. Just think about the math between 1,000 items on one platform versus 500 on three. It's not even comparable.
Kind of a similar question. If you took a chance, it's from I for Profit. If you took a chance on an item and then you realize it's not selling, it has a low sale price and very slow sell through, is it better to get rid of it or still list it?
I sell all of those items just for a little bit, just to increase the velocity. Um, and now I'm starting to become obsessed with velocity to the point where I'm like trying to sell things immediately at whatever the market price is. So as an example, we had that Levi's jacket, the Big E one that I found from 1967. It was worth 400. I sold it for 200. We had that polo jacket that was worth 500. We sold it for 200. Like I still paid $4 for it. It's still money going back into the machine versus like waiting. Now, here's the opposite. Let's say you pay $4 for an item worth $2, right? In that scenario, if you have extra time, I would list it at $2, get your $2 back out of it, save time versus going to the thrift store and donating it. At least I get that practice for selling an item. What I would not do is list that $2 item for $10 and it just sits in my store forever. So take it on the chin if you buy an item that's worth less and just get it out of your store. I'd rather have that $2 than donate it because I don't want to waste my time. I sell stuff for below market all the time because I don't want to I don't want to redonate it and I want someone to get a good deal.
They want the box.
Really? Okay. Let's try the box. And can you help me get the mic? Maybe I want to hold the mic.
Oh, yeah. It must be in that
It should be in
duffel
the.
bag.
I'll get it for you. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You'll be a newscaster now.
and then hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, guys, is this better? Let me know if this is better or not. And then if you, I guess you could ask. People like this better? I don't know if it makes a difference.
Yeah, they do like it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we can pass it back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, next question. From Odd Human. I'm just beginning, but I've been watching your content, trying to soak up as much as possible. I will definitely be joining the group for the knowledge. It is beyond worth it. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I thought it was a question. Let's see. Oh, I for Profit says kids play with them, the Funko Pops.
Okay.
And I see a lot of loose Funkos in toy boxes at garage sales. Oh, much better. Good, thank you. We'll just do this from now on. All right, Robert says, any different spin on advice that you give on clothing that would you have for a full-time video game reseller following your content over the last few years? Different expectations of sell-through. Oh, I see. So your advice.
Video games should sell faster. I would focus also on mixing that in with retail arbitrage and buying cheap new video games when they come out. Price airs or Black Friday sales, that's coming up. I would definitely do that because video games is actually an awesome category as long as you can get the supply. Sell-through rate is going to be at least 1% per day, whereas on clothing, I would consider a 0.5% per day pretty decent. So you have 200 items in your store. In a clothing store, I think you would sell 1 item per day, pretty optimized. You could obviously do more, but in the video games with 200 items, you sell at least 2 a day. So video games is really good category. Things sell really fast. And now I'm looking at the chart so far. Just an update, guys, because I want you to go back to my community page and vote. It looks like 75% of my audience has debt, okay? And 75% of my audience, their bills are less than $3,000 a month. Give me a thumbs up sign in the chat if you are one of these people so we can see if this is true. Less than $3,000 a month in bills and more than $1 of debt. So not debt-free. So 25% of my audience is debt-free. So I won't forget you guys. It's just a little bit of different advice.
AA says, will the 24 photos eBay introduced will be more helpful in terms of selling?
I think for the customer, you don't need 24 photos to make a decision unless it is a used item. Then so use however many photos you think actually add value to the customer. So you obviously wouldn't take some pictures that are upside down just to add to the 24 because it's not a good experience. But if you can show all 4 corners, inside all 4 corners, buttons, clasps, size, serial number, RN, cotton, material, fabric, close-up, button close-up, zipper close-up. If you want to do all that, you can. It won't hurt. I don't think it's one of those scenarios where the customer gets mad at you for doing too many photos. They're just going to stop looking at the photos when they feel like you've done a good enough job.
Imperfect Homestead says, when you go out of town and turn off your store, do you still need to add items during that time?
Ideally, yes. You would want to schedule your listing so that you can take a proper vacation. Essentially, what that looks like is, let's say you have 10 listings a day and you want to go on vacation for 2 weeks. I would have 140 listings set up to go live 10 a day for 2 weeks. I would either extend my handling time or I would have somebody else ship for me. But you want the traffic to remain the same while you are gone, just so the algorithm stays the same. And again, it's not a fancy algorithm. It's just that eBay gives you a certain number of traffic per item. This is obvious, right? If you post an item on eBay, eBay will give you traffic for it. So if you stop doing new items, it doesn't perform as well if you delist and relist. So in our group, this is another example. Shout out to Lewis. He, for some reason, could not list for several months, right? So he was at like 20 sales a day, and then he just switched to delist, relist because he had no chance, no opportunity to sell, and it dropped to 4 sales a day. So instead of 20 sales a day, you got 4 sales a day. It's better than nothing, but this channel is not better than nothing channel. I want people to be abundant. I figured out exactly what I want. I want everyone in the group to have no debt and make more money than their bills. I'm not saying you can get rich on this channel, but let's try to take your debt down to zero. And if your bills are 3,000, make it at least 3,001. Then on this channel, we'll use that money to hopefully do something else with your life. I'm calling that on my chart, it's the yellow section, which is, I'm going to rename the freedom section. If you want some freedom, you need to make more money than your bills. So let me know in the chat if that's exciting or depressing. Because 2 people in the morning call today were triggered by that. They were like mad that, I don't know why they were mad, but they didn't like this concept of making more than they need. They want to make what they need and that's it, no more. But I mean, then you wouldn't have a savings account if something happened to you. You could never buy a house. You could never buy a new car because you only make what your bills are. So I don't know. That's not where I want people in the group to be.
Don is asking, at what point do you move from personal selling to a store?
It doesn't matter. I would say when you're selling at least 5 items a day, then you can switch over. Yeah, I would say when you're selling at least 5 items a day, you can switch over. You don't want to just get a store to list items that don't sell. So when you're selling 5 items a day, $50 a day or more profit, then start considering a store.
Tyler says, for shoes that are shipping to eBay's authentication now requires you to ship 3 days or less. How do you bypass this, and what happens if you take longer than 3 days to ship?
If you start taking too long to ship, eBay will suppress your listings because it's a bad experience for the customer. You should ship everything same day. If you're under 30 sales a day, 1 day or less handling time. You want to get that top rated plus protection. You want your customers to be super duper happy, and you want eBay to recommend you. If you're taking forever to ship, eBay is not going to recommend you. Your aunt's not going to recommend you. Your friends are not going to recommend you. Your customers won't recommend you. And everything is about being recommended. If you guys haven't figured out, that's like the key to life. It's much easier. That's why, like, when I was trying to find a girlfriend, I always ask my friends, like, does anybody know anybody? Because it's easier to get a recommendation than to go out there cold on a dating app, right? You should hopefully find somebody that is near you in your sphere. Recommendations are key. So showing up higher on eBay search means you're being recommended more often. Less sales means that you're being recommended less often. So you got to figure out why. You want to be recommended as much as possible. Is this working, guys?
Yeah, I think so. Mr. Buys a Lot says,
Mr. Buys a lot.
what about niche categories such as collectibles and ephemeria? Like, what's your advice on them?
Okay, so I want to share a story with you guys. I'm in this YouTube mastermind group right now. And the higher levels you move up, the more it's like engineers than creative people. It's people that only care about what YouTube wants in the algorithm mixed with what people want to buy. Collectibles and ephemera are usually what the seller wants to sell. Does that make sense, guys? Like, if you are selling what you want to sell or what you find, that's very different than selling what people want, right? And what eBay wants to push. What eBay is looking for is great deals on brand new items. Number one, that's what eBay is looking for. 80% of the sales on the website are brand new. After that, they're looking for cool, unique items that are a great deal, right? So ephemera and collectibles are cool, but there's not something people look for, especially right now. Right now, groceries are ridiculous. Like, if you go to Costco or Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or Lucky or Publix or whatever your grocery store is, let me know what your grocery store is called. Your bill has got to be way higher than it was before. Like, our grocery bill, I was just doing the math, it went from $400 to $500, and we buy less stuff. It went up 25%, and we eat less now. Like, everything is going up. So people don't have extra money to buy collectibles and ephemera. This channel is more about finding stuff that sells quick. So back to that question. I wouldn't stop selling ephemera or collectibles. I would just cherry pick. The days of buying a whole tractor trailer full of something and listing all of it, I don't know if that works anymore. I don't know if it ever did work, but it's easier to just cherry pick what's going to sell, what's popular. If you're going to look for ephemera, try to have it be relevant to today, right? Like ephemera with Snoopy on it, it's going to be easier to sell than ephemera of like, I like that word a lot too, but like a family in the 1950s that was they ran a rodeo in Rhode Island and their family photos and a document they wrote to their uncle to help them secure land. That is cool, very cool. It just no one's really looking for that, right? So it's like right now, a Fortnite skin. There was this argument in Tuesday call. What's more valuable, Mickey Mantle rookie card or like the first Fortnite skin? And the first Fortnite skin sold for like $20 million or something, which is more than the Mickey Mantle. And then the guy that was, one person was saying, oh, but the Mickey Mantle's way more historically relevant. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. Like if you have there are Fortnite channels with that 10% of America watches. Is there even a video that you guys have watched on Mickey Mantle in the last 100 years? No offense. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's not relevant. So I don't know. I think I would much rather be a Fortnite seller than a Mickey Mantle seller. You guys tell me, right? Even though I'm not super into it, but I am at this point in my career, like I want to sell what people want to buy, and I want to sell what eBay wants to sell. I want to sell what Whatnot wants to push. I don't want to sell. I don't want my way anymore. I don't know. It's weird. Looking at the top YouTubers and the top resellers, they really care about the customer and the algorithm. They don't care about themselves. Mr. Buys a Lot has like millions of unlisted items. That's scary. So when you have that many items and the overhead is that high, it's very very challenging. But in this scenario where people are in debt, they have bills, they don't know how to resell. All you have to do to improve your situation is stop buying. All you have to do is just start selling the stuff you already own. If it doesn't sell, donate it, throw it away, set it on fire outside of your house, and start moving the positive direction. I can't believe how easy it is to move in a negative direction. Like looking at this, you could be getting, let's see here, 10 sales a day, okay? Or 9 sales a day. You could be getting 9 sales a day, which is pretty good. Most people don't get 9 sales a day and still lose money. Because if your bills are $3,000 a month, that's $100 a day. If you make $99 a day and your bills are 100, you're still in reseller stage 0. Like you're not profitable. So you gotta get past that. That's where we're at, guys.
Sylvia Hunt says, I get confused when you say post one when you sell one, but then you say don't stop posting, like to keep the algorithm going. Can you clarify?
I'll clarify. Okay, so the first 8 months of reselling, you don't need to care about list every day because you don't know what you're doing. So you wouldn't list everything that you don't know how and none of them sell. It doesn't work. The first 8 months of reselling, you just sell 100% of what you have. Use the money that you get from what you sold to buy the next items. There is no store management, there is no promotions, there is no store. There's nothing in that in the beginning. You have to learn how to sell something. I can make it really easy. You get one item that you get for free from your house. You sell this. With the proceeds of this, you buy the next thing and sell that. You don't go out and buy anything in the beginning. So once you've sold, in this example that I'm using, 64 items, then you can start listing every day. In the beginning, you don't have any money. Like you're just waiting to find something. Is the snack fridge has some stuff in it now? Yeah, I know we need to plug it in, but yeah, but the drinks are in there. Okay, let's do that. Are we done with the prep? Okay. So
So you don't have to list
You don't have to list every day until you have about $640. That's my math says that once you have $640 and you've sold 64 items for $10 profit and you know what you're doing, then you start listing one item a day. Got it? So you want to list every day if you can, but you don't want to list items that don't sell. Guys, there's nowhere on my channel where I said list items that don't sell. No. Stop that. Get that off of me. I did not say that. Do not say I said to list items that don't sell. I never said that. That was somebody else's channel. All of my items sell.
I for Profit says, do you think reviewing my profit and loss for each month is good enough, or would you think weekly or daily is necessary for profit loss?
So the answer is the more the better, because the more you understand your numbers. But I only review once a month, so you don't have to review more than once a year, actually. Technically, you only need to review once a year. So, you could wait all the way till April 1st if you want, review the previous year, figure out how much you spent, how much you made, pay taxes on the difference. Or you could review every single day, or when you're doing the 100 listing challenge that I did it after every sale. So that means that every single time something sold, I would update my spreadsheet. I want to number these. Yeah, you can do it.
Yep, you're good. Let's see. Chris Turner again. Hey, I asked the velocity question.
Yeah.
So when sourcing, if an item has a 50% sell-through but high velocity, how many sales per day of that item would make it still a safe purchase?
Okay. So let's take the 1% rule. Okay, so let's say you have 100 items in your store and you make $10 profit per item and you're at 1%, so you sell one item per day, right? So that's $10 profit for the one item that's sold and a 1% sell-through rate. Let's say you go to the thrift store, right? And you find something that sells at a 50% sell-through rate. So that's faster than 3 months for it to sell. Does that make sense? 1% means it takes 100 days to sell. 50% means it's faster than that. It takes like 60 days to sell. So in that scenario, in theory, instead of making $10 profit, you can make $8 profit. Does that make sense? Because like your investment over time. Now, if you have limited time, which most people do, you don't have a lot of time, then you would pass on that item and look for an item that has a higher profit and fast sell-through rate. So I actually think that when you are just starting, maybe look for 1 month sell-through rate. Look for things that are going to sell now because you have no time. So when I re-begin this experiment with $10,000 worth of debt, $3,000 in bills, and zero income, I'm going to be looking for things to sell immediately because every single day I'm paying so much in credit card interest. So faster the better.
EGV Vintage and Collectibles says, is it better to sell new with tag or pre-owned? I started selling new with tag and bought some Levi's jackets and American Eagle jeans, but they haven't sold. I keep selling my Chico's Tajito pre-owned, even collectibles.
In my opinion, pre-owned sells faster because more people are broke. So new is nice if you have more than one, but it's so competitive. It's really difficult. I'm finding that new with tags items, all said and done, are like 10 to 20% profit. It's not a lot. Used items, though, you can make 300% profit. So do you want to sell hundreds or thousands of new items or just a few used items? That's kind of how I look at it. So, okay, let me show you guys the difference between my, hopefully I get reinstated on eBay soon. But my, okay, here's my math. If I were going to sell on Whatnot by myself, I would sell 300 items per day. Actually, let me, I would sell, yes. If I were selling on Whatnot by myself, I would sell 300 items per day, and I would do lots because um, on Whatnot, items don't sell for as much money. So that's why I need to sell 300 per day if I was full-time. If I was full-time on eBay, I would sell 100 items per day. So 1/3 less items on eBay, but I don't have to stream. So the situation is similar. On eBay, it takes a little bit longer to list, but you don't have to stream. You need more space for an eBay store, so I have to sell items for, according to my business model, I need to sell items for $31 including tax or $29 not including tax on eBay for my business model to work. I have to spend $5 an item and sell the items for $29 plus $2 tax for it to work in my individual model. On Whatnot, it's different though. I need to sell lots that I paid $20 for $40. So you need to look at your model and figure out what works best with your platform. So you can't apply my numbers to what you're doing because we have different circumstances. So that's why on the new, you guys got to go back and watch my video yesterday. It has the highest retention of any video I've ever made. People watched most of it because it explains reselling. You need to have, in the reseller stage chart that we made, there's no numbers on it because I don't know what your bills are and I don't know how much money you make per item. So you need to figure that out on your own.
I had one.
Guys, I'll be done like less than 10 minutes. Yeah. No, I know.
Abdul says, sorry, not sure if this question is already asked, but has the sales on eBay been pretty slow? You did talk about it a little bit already.
I don't think so. I think in general a little bit slower, but I don't, year over year still pretty good. So it depends on, that question is so interesting. Like, what if I say yes?
Yeah.
Let's just go with yes. Sales are slower on eBay. So do you just give up or do you make some adjustments? That's all. I mean, I don't know what to say because sales are always going to be slow. I've never even had sales that are the same, ever. My entire career of selling things, I've never had 2 days in a row where the sales were the same. It doesn't work like that. That's not when you get a job, you get paid the same amount every time you go to work. When you own your own business, it's never the same. That's part of what we're doing right now is when you start a business, it's variable. Variable income requires a different mentality. You've got to be more calm. You can't worry about sales being slow one day because they will eventually be slow one day. What about the days where it's really, who had a really good sales day yesterday? Anyone? Has anybody had a good sales day the last 3 days? I'm sure there's somebody in the chat.
Mandy says sales are strong.
Yeah, sales are strong for Mandy.
All right, comment from Chai, who was at that auction sale that we did.
I love it.
The key to reselling is to learn from your mistakes and make yourself better the next time you buy something. Harry Tornado did not buy a new house by buying smelly sneakers from the flea market.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's all. That's exactly how he bought a house. Guys, have you watched his channel before? He makes a full-time living reselling on eBay and talking about it on YouTube. That is literally what he does.
I think Chai's saying that he learned what actually sells. Like, you have to learn.
I know, but he sells dirty shoes from the flea market. We all do that. That's like how you do it. That's a big chunk of how you do it. Guys, if you go to the flea market and you find a pair of boots for $12 that sells for $80, that's how you do this. His YouTube channel wouldn't work if he didn't do that. You guys realize that. It only works because he sells things. If he never sold, all of you right now can think of a YouTube channel that doesn't sell anything, that channel is not doing well. Right? I'm not talking about anybody specific. If you started a YouTube channel right now and never sold anything, and it was about reselling, it would not be popular. Don't bring Harry Tornado in here. Not with that. He knows what he's doing. Literally, like,
I think that's what he's saying. That
But
like he knows how to.
but he's selling smelly shoes from the flea market literally every single day. That's like part of his model.
That,
In our group, the reason why we have a shoe call, a toy call, an auto parts call now on Monday. We have a jewelry call, women's clothing, men's clothing, media, video games. The reason why those categories are the main ones is those are the easiest. We don't have ephemera, antiques, collectibles, comic books because those are harder. We're trying to do this the easiest way possible. The harder categories, we don't have an estate sale category because it's harder. Not saying it can't be done, it's just we're picking the low hanging fruit.
all right. Let's see. Juggernaut says, Chris, when you have to drop off all your sales every day at the post office, do you have to put all your items like a few at a time in the bin, or do they let you go in the back and drop off all your boxes?
I personally go to the distribution center, but this is how my progression worked. At first, I ordered the post office daily pickup. So they come, they pick up from your house or warehouse or storage unit. And that's the best. If you can set that up so that they actually scan your packages and they know how important it is for you to get that acceptance scan, that's the best. So then once my driver was like, I'm not into how many packages you have every day, started going to the post office and going to the front counter on the right side, and it's all prepaid, and I would just wait there until a courier came over and scanned all my packages. Now I go to the distribution center and I drop them off in the back and I don't scan them. I used to scan them, but now it's like, I don't know, hundreds of packages, so I don't scan it anymore, but it's right in front of where it goes onto the plane. So I haven't had a lot of problems because that's a really important scan, and usually the distribution center scan is always done. That's why if you drop off a package at the post office and there's not a scan, sometimes a day will happen before it gets scanned. It gets scanned at the distribution center, which is where I drop it off. So I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had a lot of issues at the distribution center, but I'm going to the back. I go to the back. I say daily refinement number 6. They let me drive all the way to the back. I go to the dock, and I'm taking like 4 trips a day, so I really should either get a little toy trailer. Isn't that what those are called? The thing that goes in the back of trucks that they tow with stuff. I could get one of those, or I could get a little mini box truck, or I can use the moving truck here at the storage unit to take my packages to the distribution center. But I'm going back to the city again for like the 20th time to do this show that I did a couple weeks ago. Palletizing takes a really long time, and it's not my favorite thing to do. So I would rather load it into my car. It's just I haven't had any of my workers do that for me, and it's like so physical that I haven't figured out a solution yet. So working on it.
Another question. What if you are already without a job for reasons out of your own hands and you are already reselling? What would you do to increase your business?
This is exactly the scenario I'm going to do. So I'm going to start this challenge with $3,000 worth of bills, no income, no job, and $10,000 in debt. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. The first 7 or 8 months, you actually go more in the debt because you have $3,000 worth of bills, but you're not making very much money reselling, or maybe even losing money. Maybe on day 1, I will lose money reselling and have debt and have no income and have $3,000 worth of bills, because I think that's everything. Is there anything left a scenario that doesn't cover? What you do then is you just start with one item, sell it, use that one item to buy 2. So essentially the first 6 months, 7 months, you just go more in the debt. Is that an earthquake?
No, I don't know. Someone crashed.
Yeah.
Bargain Hunter says, do you think the metrics change depending which color star of feedback you have?
Definitely not. But I do think if you wear black pants, you sell more than gray pants. Like, these kinds of things don't matter. It's not based on that. It's based on your current velocity. There are stores with the highest star that have horrible sell-through rate. So BHFO, they have 5,000 sales a day, but they have 500 returns a day. If you add up the 500 returns a day and how much they sell, they're barely breaking even. So do you want to barely break even with a gigantic store? or do you want to have a small, nimble store that's very profitable? So there's no reason to have a big store that doesn't make money.
Maybe one more question.
Yeah. 2 more questions.
We have one. Don says, Chris, what's your diet like right now?
I just got some unsalted nuts for the shop. You want to show the new setup? We have a microwave now.
We have a microwave now.
Yep.
Wow. Fridge over on the other side.
My diet's been getting better. I would say I switched to decaf, so that's a change. No more caffeine. Drinking decaf. Switched to decaf. I'm still drinking a ton of water. I'm trying to use more sunscreen so people don't think I'm a grandpa. Anna's been buying me salads from Sweet Greens. So I'm mostly vegetarian. So mostly vegetarian, lots of water, decaf. Pretty easy. And I'm now going to try my sleep has been getting better. Yesterday I got 7 hours and 4 minutes of sleep, which is a lot for me. Because yeah, I'm learning how to sleep more. But I don't really need that much sleep, but health I've been feeling pretty good. And my daughter has a lot of attitude. So that's been keeping me on my toes. She's now almost 20 months old. She's getting up there. So that's been fun. And I'm trying to I'm worried that she might be a bully. She's very outgoing. I don't know where she got that. Like, I'm pretty calm and collected, so is my wife, but my daughter is not. She's in your face. I don't know where she learned that. So, like, no one at school messes with her because, like, she'll go right up. Like, like at daycare, because it's on camera, right? One of the kids came up and took her food, and, like, she walked straight up to him and, like, stared at him, and then he gave it back. So, I mean, I don't know where she learned that. So I got to figure out how to make her nicer. She's really intimidating. She stood up for herself. So I don't know where she got that from. She is a ox and an Aries. So she's a war ox. Very stubborn. This is from the horoscope. So we'll see if that makes a difference. And we're trying to have another baby. And if we have one next year, like the horoscope is the exact opposite. If we have a baby next year, it will be like the horoscope said, like, go with the flow, happy with any circumstance. But that's not how my current daughter is. She's a fireball. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'm going to be on Whatnot, so you guys should use my code for $15 off free if you buy something. Join our Patreon group, patreon.com/the Resellers Podcast. We have now 15 calls in there, including the car parts call, which should be very exciting. And then, yes, we will figure out cards and comics. Those are 2 really big categories. And we have a call that's about Poshmark and Whatnot and other platforms as well. And I'm considering doing Poshmark if I can't get my eBay account back at 20 items a day. So 20 items a day, eBay or Poshmark, I'm considering doing probably at home. So that would be my goal for this experiment of, wait, before I go, let me know if you guys like this concept. I'm going to start $10,000 in debt, $3,000 in bills, and no income. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.